Blog Talk Radio.
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your Constitution while listening to this broadcast. 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live via the internet. It's time for Rage Against the Regime. Let's get ready to rumble! Finally, a show for patriots, defending the Constitution and uncovering the truth at every turn, bringing you exclusive interviews and covering the topics the mainstream media doesn't dare to touch. Call in and join the discussion at 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And now, here are your hosts, Bobby Who's the Man and Becky Williams. Rage Against the Regime.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
We interrupt all radio and television programs for an indefinite period. Please keep your radio and television sets turned on. This is an emergency. I repeat, this is an emergency. By direction of the President.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
We interrupt all radio and television.
Children of all ages. Hey, shut that guy up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The Rage Against the Regime proudly presents to you the tag team champions of the world. I'm kidding. Welcome to Rage Against the Regime podcast. And yes, it's been another hiatus for me. It's been another week away from the microphone and away from the lights, the glam, the glitz, the glory. But yes, I'm back. And, of course, my trusty sidekick would always have to be with me, Becky Williams.
Hey, brother. Whoop, woo. How you doing?
Oh, man. You know, I really have been looking forward to this show all week long, and I'm going to tell you all why. You know, I've gotten to a point to where I feel good about only doing 1 and 2 shows a week, you know, because I was starting to get overwhelmed with, you know, my working schedule and then doing the show and then, you know, my part-time business and, you know, it was just because, and then the family. I mean, that's an important part too. And, you know, all those things rolled together. I didn't feel like I was actually able to give what I could give to this show. And I think today, you know, was another good timing type thing because, you know, I had a little hiatus, you know, and had time away from, you know, everything and was able to gather information and, you know, and put together some things that I think that are very important that we need to talk about. I think that it should be a weekly thing if it's not just me, maybe you, or maybe, well, Casey's doing his thing, but maybe we can even, you know, bring out a new host, which I am looking for new hosts. It can't just be somebody, can't just be anybody. Got to be somebody that is the somebody that has, I guess you could say, a following and somebody that would, you know, that could add something to this show. And it's got to be somebody that we all kind of have an agreement on that would make a difference for the show. Because if not, you know, I mean, we don't need to, you know, add anything that's going to bring us down. We want to move forward, move up, and above and beyond the others. I mean, right now, as everybody knows, I mean, we don't try to brag about it. It's not like we're rubbing it in anybody's faces. But, I mean, we're being listened to in a lot of different countries. I don't know how many other shows can say that they know at least 28 to 30 different countries are listening to their show every week. I mean, I don't know too many that can do that. But with that being said, I mean, like I said, we're not trying to rub it in anybody's faces. We're not bragging. We're not roasting. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring you the news, and we're trying to help people that don't really know and don't really get their information from, you know, good sources and stuff like that. We want to be your source. We want you to be able to come on this show, call us up, and voice, you know, what you got going on. That's why we do open mics all the time. And we want you to be able to interact with us, and we want you to feel comfortable with us. And, we want to be that place that you all go to. So with that being said, I can't wait to do this show this week. So what's going on with you, Sid?
Wow, a lot of things are going on. I'm very excited. You got the background noise, brother.
I do. I was worried about that. That's going to be a problem this whole show.
That's okay. Just mute it for a minute, and I'm going to fill you in and then come back to me. A lot of great things are going on, and a lot of really bad things are going on. The good things that are going on is our show is growing exponentially, obviously. We're gaining new audience. I formed a coalition with probably 50 other groups in the last 3 days promoting Boss, which obviously also brings new listeners and new audience or followers for Rage Against the Regime. So this is a good thing. Being able to utilize and network the way that you and I are capable of doing and have been blessed enough to do is fantastic. I mean, we're waking Americans up. We're not just waking Americans up, Bobby. You made a very valid point. We're listened to in 30-plus countries all over the world. People are listening to Becky and Bobby's show, or Bobby and Becky's show. I got to put you as principal, brother, because you brought me to this show, and I want to give honor where honor is due. It's something that you had already started building, and I am blessed that you trusted me enough to bring me in as your partner on Rage Against the Regime as co-host. First of all, God bless you, and thank you for that, because it's expanded my possibilities on my own personal platform to be out there and to keep waking people up to the bad situations that we're facing. Listen, people, if you haven't been listening to us and you don't know everything that we know, two things. We're going to ask you, don't believe us, research yourself. We have teams of researchers out there, and Bobby and I are diligent about doing our own research and finding 2 or 3 sources to confirm the research that we're doing as being truth and fact. We do that here on this show, and that's how we're growing. That's why we're growing the audience that we are growing. And it's like building an army almost. I mean, the people we impart this knowledge to, they go out and impart that knowledge to someone else and someone else and someone else and someone else. Problem is, I'm not seeing a bunch of action. We can't keep coming around the circle and whispering in each other's ear all the bad crap, but we're refusing to stand up and do anything about it. So that's what's going on, Bobby. Boss launched this week. I launched it yesterday. I had some technical issues the day before. We were overwhelmed, and it booted my board, cut my show off about 15 or 20 minutes into the show, and I was having an outstanding response to the show. And last night's response was less than, and I think we lost a lot of people due to time constraints and other obligations. So missed opportunities are just that. They're missed opportunities. But we really had a great response to the show, potential clients coming in to sign up, as well as new trainers interested in coming on board. So that is a good thing. So I'm moving leaps and bounds there. Like you, Bobby, I'm busy. I'm trying to juggle a home life, 2 households, 2 businesses, not one, the radio show and being guest, of course, on other shows, and continue to do my research, and then making each and every one of you out there that reach out to me to have a conversation feel like you're the only person in the room. I do that because I love you. I do what I do because I love you, and Bobby does this without fear because he loves you. And here we are, one big happy family. So, Bobby, that's it in a nutshell, brother.
Yep, that sure is it in a nutshell, even though, things are a lot more crazier than that, but that's about the size of it for right now anyway. We've got a lot to talk about today. One main thing that I want to cover is I actually want to give Gene Smith a little bit of credit here, too. I don't know if a lot of you know what's going on with the whole Russian situation and United States and Russia having supposedly issues with one another has been sending ships and planes and, warships all over the place, sending them to places where they're not supposed to be. Latvia being one, in Italy, in Germany, 50 miles usually off the coast of the United States. It just goes on and on and on. And Russia just keeps pushing buttons and trying to see how far they can go and how much they can get away with and so on and so forth. Well, now what's been going on is, I guess, I'm a firm believer that I don't think that Obama and Putin have a problem with one another. Okay? I'm probably going to be in the minority here. I think Becky kind of believes the same thing, but I don't think that Obama and Putin have a problem. I don't think that the United States has anything to worry about Russia coming over here or us going to war with them. I think that Obama may have a pact with Russia to help impose martial law on the United States. Okay? I think what Obama and Putin might have with one another is, hey, you keep doing what you're doing, keep, flying your ships around, this and that, make people think that, you're going to try to go to war with us or whatever, help us impose, martial law, help us get that going, and let us get our country going, and then, we're going to be able to establish that one world government that, all the big-time presidents and, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and, the Jesuits and so on and so forth, all of them want the same thing. They want to wear that crown. They want to be the crown prince, so on and so forth. And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't something that has been planned out between Obama and Putin. It wouldn't be a big surprise at all. Now, with that being said, some information was actually leaked out, and it was information that I don't think that Gene Smith should have been able to find very easily, but she was able to uncover it. I don't actually have it in front of me. I think you have it in front of you, Becky. Do you want to read it?
On the, the information you and I discussed earlier, yeah. Wow. Here's the deal, people. Obama with his executive orders, wow. What's going on with the executive orders? What's going on with the operations of, the Helm 15 drills that they are preparing to do in the southwestern quadrant of America are probably more than likely connected in their purpose. We have got a problem. We've got an executive order that the pig and thief himself has issued, and I'm going to read it to you. Obama declares national emergency due to situation in Ukraine. Okay, let that resonate, folks. On December the 19th of 2014, I issued Executive Order 13685 to take additional steps to address the Russian occupation of the region of Crimea in the Ukraine. The actions and policies addressed in the executive orders continue to pose an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. Wow. Really? Okay. You're going to get it in just a minute. Continue to listen to this, okay? For this reason, the national emergency declared on March 6, 2014, and the measures adopted on that date, as well as on March 16th, 2014, then again on March 20th, 2014, also December 19th of 2014, to deal with the threat or to deal with that emergency must continue to be in effect beyond March 6, 2015. Therefore, in accordance with Section 202 of the National Emergency Act, 50 U.S. Constitution 1622 document, I continue for 1 year. I will continue this. So here's what's going on, folks. We've got this Helm operation in several states, and there's actually a list of the states, and they're lit up by color and definition. Compliant or hostile. Texas is lit up in red, by the way. They're calling us a hostile environment for these operations, and that's how they're going to treat us when the Green Berets and the Navy SEALs, the Special Ops groups that are coming in for this July 15th through September 15th operation in several states. That is the training and how we are to deal with, and they will be dealing with certain areas or regions. Now, the sad thing is this, Bobby. What I just read to the people is on my wall, by the way. So anybody that follows me or listens to us, it's on my wall. I'll put it on the Rage wall, this document, so that you can see what I'm reading you is actually a government document. Basically what this says is it's going to give him the power to declare war against Russia and declare martial law right here on American soil. Yeah. You heard me right. You heard me correctly. So, with that said, we've got a lot of things that are going on. This has been a super strategic move on his part. First of all, who the hell gave America the position to interfere in international issues concerning Ukraine and Russia? What business was it of his? Did you see a bunch of other countries jump into Ukraine's defense or meddling in that particular area of business? Probably not. What seat does Obama hold? Whoa. What does the emperor hold? What does Satan's little boy hold? Well, he holds a powerful seat in the world, which would be POTUS, Commander-in-Chief over the U.S. military, which, by the way, he's destroying with purpose. He holds the head of Security Council for the UN. By the way, he's in control of the UN troops in that seat. He's in control of deployment. He's in control of so many things in that position. In fact, one of the things he did on the border is create a humanitarian crisis, i.e. invasion, that he financed and publicized all over the world for people who come through that border from every country. It's not just Hispanics. And as the head of Security Council, guess what his position is? Deploy aid for a humanitarian crisis. That means he can deploy troops to handle that business, i.e. UN, UNICEF, activate FEMA camps, and the list goes on and on and on. And I've got Doug McDougall, Bobby, who's actually going to, I've got him on hold right now. He's going to come on the line, and he's going to talk about some of those issues in a moment. But is that what you were talking about, Bobby? I'm sorry. Is that what you wanted me to cover? Well, Bobby, did I drop you, brother? Did we lose you? It looks like we've lost Bobby. He should be back in a moment. I've got one of my brothers, Bill. I've opened up your mic, and he's agreed to join us today. It looks like Bobby may be back. He is. Bill.
Yeah,
wow.
I've actually been here, but I got muted. You know, the whole thing that I want to just touch on that before we bring in the guests, the one thing that I want to touch on that, okay, is we talked about this the other day. It's that whole thing of, money. Okay, we're funding both sides of the war. That's exactly what's going on. We're funding both sides of the war. Okay, Russia supposedly made a threat to us. If you send arms to Ukraine, if you give them help, if you do this, you do that, we're going to end up going to war with you or fighting with you or whatever the case may be, okay? They've already made that threat more than once. Nothing ever happened. The one thing that I'm worried about right now is we took Iran off of the terror list, okay?
Whoa.
That does not make no sense to me. They were removed off the terror list Monday, and so were some of the terror organizations that come out of Turkey and out of Iran. They actually removed them. They moved them completely off of the terrorist watch list and the terror, on the terror list. I know that there's a different name for it, but you know what I'm talking about. So that right there is making me think that we may have some kind of false flag that's going to be headed our way pretty soon.
Bobby, I don't think it's going to be a false flag. I think this is it. I think this is the big picture. And let me just paint it for the people that are listening. You and I both know, and so do many of the listeners, the little oopsie that Obama did on the stage with Putin prior to the last election when he was illegally placed again. He wasn't elected in, but that's a whole other show. But he said that he would have more power when he got back into office. Now, he didn't say if, he said when, so that's predestined right there. Semantics is everything. I understand what is being said when it's being spoken. So let's look at this. 4 years ago, right about the time he was making that comment to Putin, he released or took down the missile defense system on the southwest quadrant of America. Why the hell did he do that? Well, he used the sequestration as his excuse, okay? So he takes it down. It's never back up. He's decimating the military. Last week he decommissioned 7 more ships. We're weaker than we've ever been in our military defense. I believe you told me he fired another top brass, didn't you, yesterday? Isn't that what you said? Or this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
It keeps happening.
Okay. Yeah, so here's what he's done. He's released more heads of the military than all 44 presidents put together. He has decommissioned equipment, ships, munitions, what have you. 4 Utsi drops to ISIS, which we now know was created by the CIA, the UN, and the USA, and the others, to take over a region over in the Middle East. And he's the first one that called them ISIL, not ISIS, during a international broadcast where he spoke, addressed the people concerning ISIS. El means Levant people. That was him giving the go-ahead to start moving out and taking the Levant region, which actually surrounds Israel. And, again, that's going to be another show. But here's back to the point. He makes this comment to Putin, right? Him and Putin have been acting like they're not friends for quite a while now, and the Ukrainian issue has been part of that. And Putin disappears for 10 or 11 days, and the whole world is making speculation as to why he's nowhere to be found. Well, he was making preparation, and we see that now. Now, in terms of time, here's what you have. Now, if he was enemies with Putin, why would he give him the Alaskan islands? Let's think about that. Why would he do that? He didn't address the government of Alaska. He just took it upon himself to give Russia the Alaskan islands. So he gives Russia the Alaskan islands. Clinton gives the Chinese the Long Beach naval base that was closed down as their port by giving it to a merchant company that actually, a shipping company that is actually owned by China, that had already been in trouble for dumping biohazard into the ocean, illegal movement of Russian weapons and bioweapons on their ships. But Clinton thinks they're good people to dock on the port out on the West Coast in Long Beach. So now China owns that naval base. Now we have no missile defense system. Now we know what the resources are for the Alaskan islands. That is a strategic placement for military movement. They've got every resource for jet fuel and fuel that they're going to need for a military invasion. They've got the pipeline up there. So they have every resource. Their airplanes will do well in that particular environment and those temperatures. American planes will not. Look it up. I've already had an expert who worked in mechanics and worked in the military tell me so. They cannot operate in those altitudes at those temperatures without issues with engine failure. So here's what we have now. Now we have this special operation that's not going to take just a couple of days like we've seen across the board with military presence, buzzing cities and scaring the hell out of people. Now we've got an operation that's going to take months. and they're deploying troops and infiltrating the people. Some of them will be in plainclothes, some will be carrying live ammo, some will be carrying dummy ammo. We don't know who the hell they are, but they're all over the state. And they have these regions broken down based on resistance. And Texas is a hostile area. The whole state, it says hostile. It's painted red on the map, says hostile. Wow, Bobby. Seriously, no kidding, brother. And I can't go one more than that. Every state that they're doing that in would be the landmass in which we would take back if we seceded Texas. What are we pushing for right now? What have we been pushing for? What did I run my platform on to try to become governor of the state of Texas? Secession. We have groups all over Texas right now, Texas Freedom, Liberty Alliance, TNM, just to name a few, that are trying to secede Texas to convince our own government to let us go, which they're not going to, people. By the way, if y'all are in any of those organizations like myself, I belong to many of them, if you think that it's time to continue to request secession rather than demand it, I don't know what to tell you, because you're hoping upon hope and dreaming upon a dream that is never going to come to fruition. It's never going to happen. They're not going to release you. They're bought off by the federal government. So, Bobby, help me out here, brother. What are we to do?
You know, it doesn't make any sense to me why. I mean, it makes sense now, but it didn't make sense at the time. Why the hell would Clinton have done what he did, you know, by giving them that port? That's the biggest port on that whole coast. You know, and with China having sole control of that, you know, we could get into sleeper cells. Dr. Jim Garrow has talked about it many, many times. How many different countries here, China being the main one that have sleeper cells. Look, the United States owes China a lot of money, okay? You think that they're not going to want to come collect one day? I mean,
they don't owe them. But Bobby, we don't owe them the money that they're saying. First, it's a fiat debt. But
oh no, I know. No, I understand.
But
I understand.
They have given them They've given them property, and they have given them interest in America, industry, in property, and so according to the Geneva Convention laws, but you got a lot of background noise. According to the Geneva Convention rules of war, they'll be well within the right if shit goes sideways here or war breaks out all over the globe. They're well within the right to deploy troops to protect their own interests. That's what this is. That was a gateway to come in. We're in trouble. We're in trouble deep. I'm telling you right now, if we do not secede Texas by July 15th, I guarantee you what the Lord is revealing to me in my spirit, my discernment, and I'm leading you down the right path. I've never misled you people. I've always been dead on and months ahead of time in my statements concerning what I see unfolding and the truth being revealed to me. I guarantee you, if people in Texas don't stand up and demand, I'm talking get down in Congress and do whatever you've got to do to demand that they let us go and let us secede away from what's about to occur, all hell's about to break loose. We will have no way to turn it around. None. The rest of the nation is not going to have a way to turn it around because people won't get up and do something. This is all strategy of war. It's logistics, brother. Look at it. Go ahead, Bobby. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, brother. You know me. I'm going to rage.
No, you pretty much here. I'm actually parking my truck, so you shouldn't hear too much noise anymore. That was pretty much the point that I was making. Okay? They're here. They're here. Okay? Not just them. Okay? We already know from our Border Patrol friends, you know, what kind of people have been coming across our border for a long, long time. Okay? And we're going to be getting into that in a few minutes here. That's why we have the guest on today that we have. He's going to be able to share a lot of knowledge with us about what's going on at the border and, you know, what's been going on for a long time. But, you know, we all know for a long time here, this isn't just people from Latin descent. We're getting people from all over the world coming here going through Latin America, coming through other channels to come into the United States. Okay? And wake up, America, because they're here. Okay? They're already on our soil.
Yes. Hey, with that said, I want to bring Doug on.
Yeah, bring him in.
I want to bring Doug on because he's gonna blow you guys' mind.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, put yours on mute. It's giving me an echo.
Me?
Yeah.
All right, hang on.
All right, there you go. That's much better, man. That's crazy. You get a lot of background noise. Doug McDougal, you are a welcome guest today. Welcome to Rage, brother.
Hello, everybody. Wow, I've been biting the bit. I know y'all have asked me to come here and speak about what I've been working on for the last year solid. It's taken every moment of my time. But I want to touch on a few things that y'all have already mentioned before I get into it. The officer that you were talking, top command, that was, and I believe it was on Wednesday, was fired, and he wasn't fired from a office position or anything. He was fired from a command position, and it was the top commander of strategic air defense and strategy. This was the top commander, and was just blatantly not given early retirement, but fired. You'll find this, and there's some 1,200 to 2,000 top commanders that have been released in the last 18 months. So you do the numbers. It's pretty rapid. If you want to succeed in the military right now, you walk the New World Order line.
Wow.
Thing is, y'all were speaking on this issue of the martial law, and this kind of sews in with the July 15th. Dang, I can't call the name of it. The event that's going to take place with, again, 12,000 military special forces, top elite. We're not talking about the grunts or anybody like this. We're talking about the elite of the military are going to be operating in the Southwest region. Now, these military, when they are, I am ex-military. As Marines say, once a Marine, always a Marine, so I won't say I'm ex-Marine because I'm still a Marine. It's in my blood.
Right.
I trained in Canada for cold weather training because the potential existed for a cold weather battle possibly with Russia at any time. I trained in 29 Palms in the desert in California for months because that possibility existed in America that we could be taking on battle in the desert. I find only one reason that our military would be training in U.S. soils against American citizens and listing an entire state as combatant or the enemy. And that is because they are preparing for what we all know. There would be no reason for the military to put on an exercise of this size for this amount of time. I'm just not that guy that knows, but there has to be something about our military taking on even a training operation off of government property. I don't believe it's constitutional that they can even do this. And when I read the report when it came out, it appears in the report that they're requesting permission from the states to do this. I think that's just a guise. I think they're going to do it anyway. I think they're pulling this whole thing over as we're going to attempt this, and you may never hear another word about it. I think they've given out the news report that's going to come out. It's been leaked out, and then everybody's going to drop it, and then when it happens, they're going to say, hey, we told you we were going to be doing this.
Right. I agree.
I have very close ties with military, active duty military. Got a family member going in next week, joining. I've got active duty military I spent the weekend with last month. the thing is, and I can't give you which military base or even which state because I think I'd put the person in danger. But a truck went through a checkpoint gate, and that truck was inspected. A phone call was given to the mother. The mother was, in turn, called me. And the truck was loaded with martial law is in effect. And the truck was loaded with thousands of signs. Now, is this in preempt of this on American soil, practice maneuver that's going to take place later on this summer? I don't know. Is this in preparation? Why in the world? This is the second load of semi-load of martial law in effect signs that I have been reported to, that I've been given the information on. One was through a justice of the peace, notified me of it. It actually got the information from the DPS officer that pulled the truck over and inspected the load. The other one comes directly from the mother of the soldier that inspected the truck at the military gate. So these aren't here something I read on a gossip page. These are coming directly from people in the know. Made some notes while you were talking.
Doug, what is really super concern to me is this. Multiple branches of the U.S. military are going to be in these operations. We're talking about elite forces, Green Berets,
the Navy, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force.
82nd Airborne Division. I mean, in all honesty, if that doesn't throw a red flag at you, I don't know what will. And the other thing is this. Think about this. Just so much property has been taken away from people by Agenda 21 and claimed as federal territory or land. They could easily enough do this particular type of operation, bring in actors or whatever they want to call them, and do a mock-up city situation. And they do this all over the place anyway. This is part of military training. And do it out in a secluded area away from the population, not putting the population in danger.
But my question still is, why train for a situation unless you perceive that situation is imminent? The military does not train for a situation unless they believe it is a situation. There's not wasted time that the military does not. They waste time, but they don't plan a mission this large, a training mission this large involving this many entities without the belief that this could actually be needed. They are going to take their efforts and train for an operation that is potentially could happen. Hence why I was in 29 Palms, hence why I was in cold weather training.
Well, I mean, when you've got it broken down into regions where they're saying by color code, red is hostile, blue is permissive, brown is uncertain, learning hostility in parentheses on that one, and light blue is uncertain, learning friendly.
We have to keep in mind too that they real quietly. There was a new agency created in the U.S. government 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, and this agency oversees all local police departments.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is an agency that has overcommand and oversight and full control over our local small city, large city police departments. They take their top command from this new agency.
I was actually going to ask you if this sounded any better, first of all.
You do right now.
Because I got a different headset in and probably no echoes and all that, thank God.
Much better.
They've been doing that for a long time now. I mean, we know. Here, take, for instance, Chicago is where I live. Okay, well, I don't live in the city any longer. I moved out to the suburbs. But we've had a lot of situations here where we saw them break out the big guns and the big artillery and came right out and had their nice little new Humvees that they have and everything else, and they had the snipers on the roofs and so on and so forth, and it looked just like the Boston. It looked just like Boston after the Boston bombing. It looked like some of these scenes out of movies and stuff. And, you could tell that martial law has already been implemented in some cities, more than others. But I think that, cities like here, take for instance Chicago, a while back ago I reported it on Rage Against the Regime and put it on our page that I think that martial law is already here in Chicago. Okay? The way that they go about things now, and then the building that they're using, I don't know if you saw that building that they've been taking detainees to, and beating them and doing all types of stuff to them. I think that's pretty much a beginning, and I think that a lot of cities have these type of buildings, and I think that's probably the first stop to a lot of people have in their mind, they've got all these FEMA camps and everything. Well, you know what? This place, this detention center and detainee center, as we call it here, is worse than a FEMA camp. Nobody even knows that you're there. They beat on you. They do all types of stuff. Martial law is already implemented in a lot of cities. I don't think that we know that, what extreme it is yet.
Let me just throw in an idea that I believe in my gut. I believe that the building was released. The information was purposely released. And I believe all of Ferguson was put together and released for a purpose. I believe that, all of these things that are being, the IRS issue was put out there about spying or putting two, real bad feedback. All of this was done on purpose to instill one thing in the American public, and that is fear. I'm very political, and every day I'm doing something. I'm sitting in my living room looking at flags and posters leaning up against my wall. I have invited some people to go with me on these events, whether they're at the Capitol or they're down at the border or wherever it may be. And these people have gotten phone calls from their family members scared for their safety. Well, what if somebody starts shooting? What if there's a bomb? So they have accomplished what they have set out to accomplish, and that is to instill something that should not even exist in an American's gut, and that is fear. There is some great person one time that said you could never attack American soil because of the American spirit, and that there's a gun behind every blade of grass. They have worked on that by releasing enough information that they put this fear in the American public's eye and mind that if they say something or go out there, that something bad could happen to them.
I've got Bill Bohart on the line. He's got his hand up. He's got a couple of things he wants to add to the conversation, guys. Come on, Bill. Hey,
How y'all doing tonight? This is Bill. I wanted to add that as a little over 2 years ago, one of our sources confirmed 100,000 troops, 80 miles southwest of Laredo, 100,000 Chinese troops. That source has since been MIA. He went MIA. He was hot on the trail of the nukes that went missing out of Texas. I think that was about a year and a half ago or so. Some of us in the truther community, we figured out that if we cancel contracts with the federal government, they don't have any control over us. And here just the other day, Obama, or yesterday I guess it was, Obama announced, mandatory voting. Boy, that's scary. How that ties in what you're all talking about. Well, if they can't get us to consent voluntarily, they'll force us to. And I believe in my mind it ties in with the
Hello, Bill. How you
ready
doing?
to go down in Texas. What's that? Go ahead.
How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing great, man.
All right. How's Roxy?
She's doing great.
Well, tell her I said hi.
I
Good
certainly
friends of
will.
mine there.
And who is
Good
this?
friends of mine there.
Is this Doug?
Yeah, that's Doug.
Oh, yeah. How you doing, Doug?
All right. You're a lucky man. Hey, well,
I absolutely am. I'm blessed.
Hey, folks, let me do what I guess I was asked to do here. Let me start by sharing a little bit about what I've been. Is that Bob's headset or something? Because all I hear is feedback. Okay. Hello?
I'm muted. It ain't me.
Okay.
Bill Bohart's got some puppies in the background or something. I'm gonna
No,
mute Bill,
I don't. I'm silent here.
There, whoever it was, it's gone. It's gone.
That was background in Bohart's background. Well, no, wait a minute. It might be. There you go. Now we got Bill DeGirolamo. I think it was in his end.
Okay.
All right, Bill. Sorry
Folks,
about that. It was Bill G.
I just trying to introduce myself. I'm a Marine veteran, father of 5. I'm a plumber. I'm just a regular guy. I just drove down the road one day and it was right after the people of Eastern California had stopped the bus of illegals from being brought to their community. And as I drove by a gas station I've been by for the last 10 years, I saw the same looking bus parked at this gas station. So I pulled in and I watched as 45 or 50 illegals carrying plastic bags with their stuff in it walk and load onto this bus. And then they pulled away. They were only there for a few minutes, the first one I saw. I got curious and started spending more time with it. I had surgery back in last August and was forced to miss work for a couple of months. And so I spent all of that time at this station gathering information. I've actually made some videos that find on YouTube or on my page. But I've interviewed some bus drivers. I've spoke with some patrons of the buses. You just heard Bill Bohart. I've been on their radio show before speaking on this. I'm no expert. The videos I made, I recorded with my cell phone. The administration has always found that they tested the water with whatever they're trying to do, and or they've used it as another shiny object to hold up there for us to pay attention to while something else is going on in the background. The whole time with the illegals crossing the border, it flooded last summer, and all the news reports and the stories about the children. Well, let me tell you, out of the thousands of people I've seen, I might have seen 6 or 8 children. Most of the people that I've witnessed, videotaped, still photos of, all are in excess of 50 years old. These are senior people. They don't look financially fit. They don't look healthy. And every one of them that I've ran into, and believe me, I have 12 videos and I have 140 still pictures of license plates, passengers, DOT numbers, MS numbers. I've had some private detectives run these numbers on these buses. We've come back with with a large majority of them being fictional numbers. On the MS number on the bus indicates whether the bus is insured properly, if the bus can transport other people. It's like a chauffeur's license tag number. And the DOT number, which I'm sure almost everybody kind of sees on a semi or whatever, it's just their taxes or to drive on the road. The MS number you probably won't see on a semi because it indicates for transporting other people. Well, yes, the numbers at the border crossing the river by coyotes or whatever has dropped dramatically from the flood that happened last summer. But that's fine. They have been busing them straight out of Mexico, straight to Chicago. Tonight, another friend of mine in Tennessee named Mike was supposed to join us, but for whatever he was unable to. But he had a powerful video. These buses come straight out of Mexico, about 100 miles within Mexico, loaded up, drive right through the border, very little screening, stop at locations, refuel, let people get out, walk around. These aren't stopping at bus stations. These aren't Greyhound. These are privately owned charter buses with government contracts. I've got a video with the bus driver stating that the company has a government contract. He speaks very little English. Hardly any of them speak. The drivers themselves are, I doubt, are American citizens. But the video that Mike put out really grabbed a lot of attention. The liberals got hold of it. He got some pretty serious threats, had to back away for a while. Job put at risk, things like that. But he filmed them at a Social Security office, lined up around the building. And you can find it on YouTube. Go looking for it. It's just illegals busing in Memphis, Tennessee, or north of Memphis, Tennessee.
We actually have it on the Rage page. Just so you know, when you guys first did it, we did put it on the Rage page. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine, and it's powerful, people. Y'all need to look at it. He pretty much got ran out of the Social Security office. He made it 3 miles from the Social Security office after videoing what he did, and was pulled over by a motorcycle police officer and told when he tried to hand his driver's license and insurance to the police officer, he said, "No, I know who you are." He said, "You just need to watch what you do with your phone," and gave him a warning. And not a written warning, just a verbal warning. Watch what you do with your phone. People, if y'all think there's no way this could happen because our local police would be behind us, or because, listen, I've tried to drag people. People fear conflict for some weird reason. It's not in my DNA. I do not fear conflict. I've read too much into history about some of our founders that lost their sons that were offered up. Hey, if you'll stop what you're doing, we will not, we'll release your sons. And then they refused. They said, I can't do this. And anyway, I'm getting off subject. The thing is, people, buses, and at a simple little Travel America station here in Rockwall off of 30, we have generally somewhere between 6 and 8 bus loads every single day. Stop and refuel. People get out. There's a Burger King in this TA station. They go in there. They usually have brand new American $100 bills. They make change. Don't understand the cash. Don't speak a word of English. It's just. And when the buses are going north or northeast, they are always full. when the buses still stop here when they're headed back south, and they are always empty. Well, if you know anything about trucking or transporting for profit, it's there's a thing called deadhead. And I don't see a company anywhere that would allow, a one-way trip to pay, to provide enough to pay for both routes. These buses are going back completely empty, and these drivers are telling me as soon as they get there, they turn around and head straight back to Mexico and reload again. I'm also being told, no, this is just one of many, many routes. They're headed several directions. I'm just find myself right in the path of a route headed straight to Chicago. I've spoke with police officers in the area. They have stated that they've confiscated drugs on these buses. I've tried to get people fired up over this. The main video that I put out and that Mike put out were from back in September of last year. Very little attention has been gathered just because the administration keeps us flooded with a new story and a new story and a new story. There's no way to dig deep and get focused on one item when there are so many items in the pool to grab from. And if we're not talking about Benghazi, we're talking about the IRS, or we're talking about the VA scandal, or we're talking about the border, or it's just one thing after another.
Hey, Doug, let me ask you a question. Now, when you guys were following them and you were videotaping them and so on and so forth, they were being taken to the Social Security office. I remember you guys caught them there. I was also told that, they were given passports the first day that they were arriving, and they were getting Social Security benefits, so on and so forth. One thing that concerns me is I was told that their children do not have to go through the same medical processes as our children. You know how they have to, before school starts, they have to go for checkups, get their immunization shots, so on and so forth. Do you know anything about that?
Well, what I do know is they're being told at the schools that they cannot ask their age or their country of origin. Matter of fact, here locally, we have a pedophilia group of two men. One was 26, and one was, I think, 19 or 20 years old. Well, this 19 or 20-year-old Hispanic was going to school as an 8th grader. And they were using this opportunity and video young children. And but they were using this this order that you cannot be asked your age. Now, I know it seems far-fetched, but I watched the video of the arrest, and the young man that was 19 or 20 years old looked like he belonged in the 8th grade. But both of them were arrested. But it's, they're using this. Yes, they don't have to. They don't have to go underneath the same laws that we do. My son is a teacher, math teacher. And believe it or not, his wife is a doctor that just got her residency location, and she'll be going up there to Chicago. So God be with them. But something has to be done. The amount of people that are being brought in, and believe me, I don't hold no ill effect towards these people that are coming into this country. They are coming here under a lie. The same thing I believe for the African American community. They are living and voting under a lie. If they only knew what really was being promised to them is all for the benefit of the one promising. It has nothing to do with their well-being. Matter of fact, it's the opposite of that. The guys is to hold them down and have them depend upon that person that got them here. They are being misled. We need to be warning the people that are getting on these buses as much as we need to alarm the American people that are listening to this show right now.
Right. One thing that bothers me very badly is they're giving benefits that our veterans that are coming home from wars and stuff can't even get. Medical benefits, insurance, any kind of payments. And, these people went over and, gave, their hearts, their souls, gave us, good night's sleeps and everything else. And they come back home and they're public enemy number one, can't get no kind of insurance, can't get no kind of benefits, can't get a good job, and everything else. And these illegals are coming over, being bussed in here, by the hundreds, given all kinds of benefits that, homeless people can't get either, and we have a big, big problem here in the United States with homeless, and then, like I said, with the veterans. And, these people get to come over here, get a passport right away, get Social Security, get, SSI, whatever, and everything else. And, it's a huge problem. And then all the diseases that they're bringing here, giving to the children in our schools and stuff, and a lot of diseases that doctors can't even treat because they've never seen it before. And, it's really, really, really scary. And just to know, go ahead.
With the Heritage Foundation, Rector, with the Heritage Foundation that writes generally on accounting and statistics, just came out with a report that says that the Social Security and Medicare bill for the illegals will be $1.3 trillion yearly. This
wow.
Is now. If you want to take that number and break it down, you will debunk every bit of the numbers that they're trying to tell us with this 5 to 11 million. You will be closer to 40 to 50 million. That is the only way you could come up with that $1.3 trillion.
Well, you know what we haven't even talked about yet? We haven't even talked about the automobile program that they gave them. We haven't talked about the $6,000 a month that some of the people that are holding up some of these families and putting them up and giving them a place to stay until they find housing and stuff for them. I'm sorry?
And that is being backed by our Catholic Church. Okay? Our Catholic Church is tied in with, and believe me, I'm a devout Christian and a God-loving and a God-fearing man. But our Catholic Church is the first one to jump in and take with the government handout for these families being housed. And they're being paid monthly for these families. There's a huge under-the-table deal that is going on that I'm sure is in some ways backed by the liberal side of our government. We did some research on these buses. These buses are anywhere from Blue World tours to New World tours to Santiago tours to Wands. The one out of Dallas, Texas, the name of the company is Wands. And like I say, they make nonstop, brand new buses, good looking stuff. One-way trips to Chicago. Well, I had somebody do a lot of background check and even went under the guise that they wanted to do some financial investment into this company, and got to the list of the board of directors of this company. And Santiago Tours was out of California. I don't have the paper in front of me. But sitting on the board of directors was none other than our own Dianne Feinstein. We have to stop. Here about 2 weeks ago, on the Hispanic radio stations locally in the Dallas area, they were advertising that if you get here, that now you're being able to file for your income tax, whether you worked here or not, but you will be eligible for a thing that they call earned income credit. We all know what it is, and could receive as much as $3,500 to $7,000 as money to help establish you. So whether this is actual truth and whether a law has been passed or whether the IRS, let's pretend like none of this is true, it still got sent out over the airways. It was still a rumor that has now hit the Hispanic population that made phone calls out there that said, get your butt here. I met
Absolutely.
an unusual bus that came through that was headed south that had 3 people on it, passengers. I was like, wow, I got to talk to these people. You know, what in the world are they doing? They're going to Mexico.
Well, actually, Doug, they don't have to pass a bill. If you've got a tax ID number or a Social Security number, that rule applies.
Right.
In income credit.
Well, the people on the bus that were headed south, I talked to one guy, and he spoke pretty good English. He lived north of Chicago. I said, well, where are you headed? And he said, well, I'm headed, he gave me the town, I can't even call the name. I got it wrote down somewhere. But anyway, I said, you going back to live there? You going on vacation? He said, no, I'm going back to get my parents. I said, oh, they won't ride up here on their own? He said, no, they're not brave enough to do that. And so he's jumping on a bus and going down there. Now, I'm sure this guy could drive down there and get them. I'm sure this guy he looked like he could afford to get a plane ticket. But right now, the easiest path into this country is on a bus coming out of Mexico. All you have to, if they stopped in Tennessee and got the paperwork to get into this country and be in this country, how the hell did they get to Tennessee? They are not. If they tell us that they're screening everybody at the border, how do we have pictures of buses with stolen tags on them? How do we have pictures of buses with fictional DOT numbers or MS numbers on these? My videos have been handed over to the chief DPS officer here in the state of Texas. My videos have been directly handed to the lieutenant governor and Governor Abbott. They have been handed to them. I have spread this word and tried to get this. I've talked with my Senator Hall at a town hall meeting and said, you're fighting one battle about illegal immigration. I'm trying to get somebody to fight the other battle, in which I call legal illegal immigration. They are driving them here. If we go, all we have to do is go back about 3 or 4 months after the election in early 2013, there were advertisements that were put out that the U.S. government was looking for companies to transport from people from the southern border. They were blatantly obvious. They put out advertisement, any form or fashion, buses, air, whatever the case was. They were looking for people to transport. They foresaw all this because they created it. The companies that jumped in and took the contracts to transport these people are Santiago Tours, or Juan's Transport out of Dallas, Texas, or Blue World Tours. All of these companies have just, if drive down the road one day, you will see more buses traveling that you have never seen before, and none of them are Greyhound. Yeah, we get the one-a-day Greyhound bus drive down the freeway.
Hey,
I live in Chicago. I live in Chicago. Don't know where to look. If I knew where to look to find them, I would try to record them or something myself.
Hey, Doug, they're not just bringing them in on buses. I know for a fact that they're also flying them in from all over the world, not just out of Mexico. We know this. So it's not just the buses. It's not just Hispanic. That is a gateway that I know in one sector for sure by means of active duty border patrol who works the Laredo sector, telling me that more than 33 different countries in 1 month of foreign invaders have made it through his checkpoint. That they have to let them in. Sri Lanka, the Middle East, all over the Middle East. They're coming in from Japan, Korea, from Vietnam, they're all over. People, this has been orchestrated. This infiltration has been orchestrated for the very thing that we're about to see unfold. This is this. We've talked about all of the benefits. We've talked about the invasion. We've talked about the disease coming in. We've informed everyone. But at the end of the day, here's what's going to happen. We know that we're about to have a huge collapse. The American dollar will collapse by September. I can assure you we've done the research. From the CIP,
Britain just signed an agreement with China to join their World Bank, China's World Bank. I think that happened yesterday or the day before.
You're correct. It's called the CIP. They're going to put the SWIFT out of business. The UK has agreed to come on board. America is being denied a seat on that. And Australia just joined them as well. So you're talking about Russia and China working against the BRIC and the IMF and the American dollar. Everything's going to collapse. So all these people that have come over, all these people, though, brother, that have come over here, when that happens, there's going to be the most horrific occurrence of civil unrest that you can imagine. All of those foreigners are going to panic. Go ahead, brother.
You know what a lot of people haven't thought about? You know why?
What?
I think the biggest reason is that they're trying to collapse the American dollar even more, is to put those little microchips inside your arms. Because if the American dollar collapses and they do away with it, it's going to be an easier process all the way around. Think about it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? It's not going to happen in my neighborhood. I'm not going to do it. But you're correct. But what's going to happen is you're going to have a lawless society, and the lawless that we already have here that wreak havoc on America every day are going to see that as a green light playground to murder, steal, destroy, rape, do whatever it is to pillage, whatever it is that they have a mind to do. They're going to do it because there's no recourse. Then you're going to have individuals who are desperate to feed their families because they breed like cockroaches that are on the TIF that have been brought over here. And I'm not going to say the race, but you know who I'm talking about. Their average family unit is 5 to 9 people in their immediate family, and they have extended family they brought over here. Their groups, literally, those families that are coming over here out of Mexico, some of those family units. Bringing their mother, their sister, their brother, their children. You've got 50, 60 of their immediate family members in one neighborhood. They're going to start burning your house. They will kill you to get the food to feed their families. They will burn your property down. They want your weapons. They want your munitions. They want your car. They're going to be desperate. They're going to be in the middle of the battle as well. And you, my friends, will be the victim. Now, what we've done is we've allowed a lawless entity, a foreign entity, to come into this country and take over and usurp our government. That's right, I said it. We don't have a government that belongs to the people. We have foreign interests that are in place that are running what is supposed to be the government for America, and now they've taken over our military. That's right. They've taken over our military. They've taken over our municipalities. They have taken over the people. They have orchestrated theater to corrupt the minds. They've manipulated media in order to give out enough to instill fear, enough information to instill fear, and a false sense of security at the same time. It's like being bipolar for the public because we have lazy Americans who are too complacent, too damn lazy to get to the truth, which is what we do here. So, people, what is coming? And I'm not a fearmonger. I'm telling you absolute fact based on research. If you don't believe us, go look it up. We're giving you absolute fact. You can take it to the bank. This is what's coming. Now, people who keep telling me that they've, my Second Amendment right, oh, my God, they're trying to infringe on my rights. Bobo, shut up and sit down. Because I'm going to tell you something. You're claiming a right that you have no intention to use as it was written in the Constitution. The purpose
Amen.
of weapons.
Amen.
Well, the coup d'etat has been ongoing since 1860. There's documentation on that. Matter of fact, if you look at the 13th Amendment the de facto 13th Amendment forward, there's proof right there. If you read those amendments, it's proof that the coup d'etat is ongoing.
Amen. Amen, brother. Our first dictator was Abraham Lincoln.
That's correct.
Amen. Martial law was called, and he died before he lifted it. We've been under a form of martial law since his death, since his reign.
Proclamation 113. Read it.
Absolutely.
Well, see,
Absolutely.
I originally started this bringing this to attention and recording these videos and protesting for my Second Amendment right, and all of this. I started getting into this battle and protesting that goofball Wendy Davis is straight out of hell. But I started all of this with the intent that I was fighting each and every one of these battles as individual battles. But what I have come to learn just by knowledge, by actually being there and being a part of what was going on, and not being manipulated, but learning by myself, not taking the word of somebody that I might trust or that has the gift of gab, but finding out for myself is that I'm no longer in telling people we need to stop these buses, and no longer telling people that, we need to protect our Second Amendment. I've turned it around and said, listen, these buses are coming here for a reason. They're meant to have us take our attention away from the real thing that is happening. Our Second Amendment right, the hell with our Second Amendment right. Go buy some damn ammo. Go hide a gun in a location where it cannot be gathered. Go prepare yourself. I have told people, if you love your family, you better go buy some damn food. You better have some protection. You better have a way out. I like a lot of my friends, have the luxury of living in the country on a secluded little area where, I can get away, I can protect, I can watch what's going on. Those that are listening that live inside these metroplexes, inside these cities, prepare yourself. More so than anybody, prepare yourself.
Well, there's not going to be any way out of the city. The way they're going to set it up, and I really feel in my heart this is what is about to happen with this Jade Helm program that they're bringing in. I would reach out to my researchers and have them check the semantics and why they picked that verbiage. I'm sure there's a reason. Jade Helm probably has an underlying meaning to it, but I would suggest that when this goes down, and they're going to creep up on us with it, and I think that the July 15th episode is going to be just that, and I believe that Texas will be on a lockdown, Utah will be on a lockdown. Those are two very highly populated areas, Christian folks and Mormons. The belt, if you will, for the North and the South concerning Christianity. I believe that is a connection as to why they've been lit up as a hostile area for this. But I would suggest also that the people inside the city limits of these areas and these states, that they're going to infiltrate us and drive civilian cars, and they won't be identifiable because they'll be dressed like civilians, and some will have dummy ammo, and then, of course, the liability release clause is enough to tell you that they're expecting to have incidents that are going to cause injury just by the way it's worded. If you do not know what it states, you need to go look it up and read it. I would suggest that the people inside of those zones are going to be trapped and with purpose.
Well,
Absolutely.
If they're going to, I've read the verbiage in it, and if they're going to be, and it states that they're going to have military personnel that are dressed as civilians, driving civilian vehicles, that are in under training to go in and seize or to or kick in a door or inspect an area. How in the hell is the average American citizen going to know that that is not just a crime trying to be committed? That person, in turn, is going to defend himself. If he's in Texas, I have all the faith in my fellow Texans that when the guy comes up there and kicks his door in, he's going to be met with some lead from the inside. And, if they do that, that justifies them turning this training operation into something that is larger, that now gets to change and rewrite the rules in this operation. And I can almost guarantee you, if we could do somebody to do some research and find out who's in command of the 82nd that's going to be a part of this operation, who's in command of the SEALs that's going to be a part, if we do some background checks on this person that has been whittled down and now is put into this command of this training operation, is going to have the like mind of the administration.
Oh, well, I guarantee it. Now, you couple that with the federalization, militarization of the police departments, and oddly enough, right here in Fort Worth, Texas, they're conducting a race relations program with federal assistance for select cities across the country, Fort Worth being one of them, and that is about to take place as well. It's going to be a civil unrest operation that they're going to be conducting.
Yeah, and they're doing it with money. They're offering grants to these small agencies, and Fort Worth is not a small one, but they're taking even small towns and they're offering them new vehicles, new weaponry, new tactical gear if they participate in this program. And so they're getting everybody.
Go ahead, Doug.
Everybody is jumping in on this thing and selling their soul for a piece of paper. They are willing to keep their mouth shut, which is the same as working for, but they are willing to keep their mouth shut on what is going on for the almighty dollar. And there are too many Americans that have put themselves in a position to where that almighty dollar has become so important to the way of life that they are willing to allow something to occur. You have to remember in World War II, the Germans that were right outside the prison camps that just kept their mouths shut. And they kept their mouths shut because their life went on as normal. And they didn't want to be a part of it.
Hey,
go ahead.
Roxy's got something she'd like to say. Roxy's on the line with Bill. Roxy, go ahead, sister. Come on in.
Oh, hey, Becky. Hi, Doug.
Hello.
Talking about what Doug was about when he's filming the buses of the illegals, I can tell you for pretty much a fact that nobody cares, Doug. Remember when you were on my show and we were trying to get other patriots to come out and help you guys film and help Mike Morrison film? Did anybody show up? Did anybody contact you?
I beat the door down with Breitbart. And you would think if we have somebody standing with us, it would be Breitbart. And I was called by the director of Breitbart and given Darcy, the local Dallas reporter with Breitbart, but she needed more. She wanted more of a flash. She couldn't break the story with the video that I had or Mike had, which I think would destroy any other news story I have seen in the past 2 years. But that wasn't flashy enough. She needed something else. She needed, I don't know, there wasn't blood in it. There wasn't, there wasn't a politician involved directly.
They don't care.
No sensation.
No sensation.
They don't care.
No, nothing to draw that dollar. If they're going to risk everything,
they don't care. And I have news for you. The Patriot sheep do not care either. Everything that you all have been talking about, and I've been listening to your show intently, as I often do, Becky, you're all spot on. Nobody cares. The government doesn't care. Feinstein being on the board of that bus that's transporting people, they don't care. We have got a very urgent situation taking place in South Africa. White South Africans are being slaughtered and murdered, and they don't qualify for refugee status to get into the United States. They're being ignored. Those here that are waiting and that applied for citizenship legally are still waiting for years. They have no DLC, no medical, no nothing, and they are being refused. And you've got illegals coming in here, getting food, clothing, Section 8 housing, jobs. As Doug said, and as Mike had filmed them, they're coming in, they're going straight to the Social Security office. They've got brand new passports out of Mexico. Okay, this is proof on film that has been documented by Doug and Mike that these are acts of treason being committed by our government.
Yes.
Where is our senators? Where is Congress? Where is the police? Where is the constitutional sheriffs? Where is anybody giving a damn about any of this? Nobody cares.
I stood face to face with my senator at a town hall meeting. I got his ear privately, me and him, nobody else standing around. He could have told me anything he wanted. Nobody else was listening. I said, listen, Dan, what you're doing is the legal option for the country. I don't need this. I'm telling you about what is happening. He's like, Doug, I can fight one fight at a time. I'm like, listen, you're fighting a fight that has no relevancy in what's really going on. What you're fighting is something that looks good in the average person's eye, and that's really all they care about. If it makes a good title on a news story, see, people are infected with this. They will not read the story. They read the title of it, and they know the whole story.
Well, I talked to you about that as well, Doug. Nobody reads, and we experience that all the time, being big posters on Facebook, Becky and Bill. I mean, look at our pages. Look at my pages. Look how many hundreds of thousands of people I reach. They don't read the article. They read the title and they share. It doesn't matter what it says. I mean, look how long Bill has been out there posting about people don't need to pay income taxes, and they're still paying income taxes. People they just don't care.
I know.
Well, they're about to care. We've got Grant. We've got Grant. I'm sorry, Roxy. We've got Grant who's got his hand up. He's been waiting for a moment or two. And I invited, that's all right, I invited Grant to come on and engage, and this would be a great time for him to come in on this conversation. Grant, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. There's a lot of good stuff you guys have touched on, and just kind of wanted to add some thoughts. A number of the different topics you've touched on. One thing about why they need to collapse the U.S. dollar is it's the standard of living. People don't realize that the poor in America live better than the rich in other countries. They told us in writing and all their papers and all their, all their speeches that China was the model for them, at least 10 years ago. They started crowing about China being the model of the future in terms of economy and style of living. So this idea of moving everybody into these Agenda 21 super cities, collapsing the economies, having everyone live at a substandard style of living, while the rich, the neo-feudalists live like the kings of old and the robber barons of old. That's been the model that they've been working toward for some time now, and they've been very open about it. And that's what's happening with the dollar. It's not even about the chip. They can get people chipped whenever they want. Just like it's not even about the Second Amendment anymore. The moment they decided that we couldn't own the same guns as the military, that we couldn't have fully automatic assault rifles, that we couldn't have, the same caliber of weapons as the military, was the minute the Second Amendment died. The Second Amendment hasn't really been in existence for some time now because the founders intended for us to be able to wield the same weapons as military personnel, which we don't anymore. So this idea that they keep us on this this mouse wheel, this rat wheel, running around and fighting over these supposed freedoms that we think we have, that's just to keep us happy and pretending like we have something to fight for. They can take this over whenever they want. And one of the things I mentioned where Becky and I were talking earlier today was Rex 84. And the thing is about what's happening with this takeover if you go back to Rex 84, which came out during the Ollie North trials back in the early 80s, it had been in existence for some time. Rex 84 was created to allow FEMA and the director of FEMA, which could be the president if need be, but it was designed for continuity of government. But the idea behind Rex 84, and it's written in the documentation, was if there was a large influx of illegal immigrants that came across the border, as well as potential uprisings from minority populations, especially African-American populations in the cities, it was designed for FEMA, and now with DHS falling under FEMA, which technically it does, FEMA and DHS would take over control of the nation and put you in de facto martial law and essentially in the Constitution in one fell swoop. That's exactly what's happening. All this has been a long-term plot for at least 30 or 40 years. Like, this is everything. It's paint by numbers at this point. They're not even doing anything that's surprising. Like, they're following everything step by step, and nobody gets it.
You're exactly right.
Well, we get it.
Oh yeah, you get it. I mean, there's about 50 of us in the whole country that really understand what's happening.
Understand. But I also want to share the fact that I think that God-loving people, the people that put their trust in their and listen with their soul to God, have the ability to hear and see what is really going on. And I honestly believe that the lack of God and the destruction or the targeting of any kind of Christianity in the U.S. or across the world is all meant to run people from that voice. Any and everything I do in this fight, I ask and I seek guidance through my Lord and Savior. And I just think that not enough people fall back on God and trust God. There's a very few of us that have been given this knowledge and handed this task to step out and understand what is being asked of you. I can't stop no more breathing than I can stop this fight. I can tell 10,000 people, and all 10,000 can laugh at me and walk away and shake their head, and I still can no longer stop this, and I can stop breathing. It is a part of me that will never end.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. I come from a military family. I've helped out, in training the military. I never served. I actually graduated from high school at 17, and my mom wouldn't let me serve because she didn't want to lose another man into the military. But I've helped out in training the military. I'm a tactical trainer. I love this country. I was raised on the Constitution. I understand. I've actually read the Constitution. I understand the legalese and the jargon. I have degrees in history and political science, and I understand. I've read. I'm a huge Jefferson fan, and I've read the Federalist Papers, their personal effects. Like, I get what they were going for and how far away we are from that. But I have children now, and I want my children to have freedom. And the only way to have freedom is to do what this country was intended to do. This is not freedom what we have. And it's amazing because this country, especially under this current president and the last guy, has followed the exact steps of Nazi Germany to a T, and again, so few people are understanding how close we are to becoming the Fourth Reich, and how we're being set up the same way the Germans were set up. This abandoning of America, which is what our supposed allies have done with joining this Chinese bank. Even Japan, which is a blood enemy to China. The Japanese and the Chinese people will hate each other to the end of time, but even the Japanese government has now joined this bank as of today. So, we're being set up and abandoned step by step. And you're right. It is about trusting in God, and it is about everything you said. I agree with. It's just there's not enough. I'm going to go down fighting for my kids. The problem is there's only so many of us that are going to do it, and we got to figure out a way to get everybody on board. And it's not voting, and because all the politicians, when you really dig into their pockets, they all get funded by the same people. They all hang out with each other behind the scenes. They all intermarry and marry their kids off to each other. Again, this is a neo-feudal system. These guys are oligarchs. They are the new lords and barons, of modern times, and they intend to be the future lords and barons and rule over the land, and us to be nothing but serfs at best. Slaves is the reality, but they'll call us modern day serfs, and we'll be happy with our food and our whatever jobs we get and our mindless entertainment. And that's what they've already set that up now, and that's what they want for the rest of eternity. And they're very close to getting there. Once America falls, that's it. We're the last bastion of freedom on earth, and that's why they've had to be so careful with taking us out, because they know that there are still enough people here who know what freedom is and are willing to fight for it. But our numbers are dwindling, and that's all. They're waiting us out. They're waiting us out.
Yeah. Grant, we've got Bill G on the line. He's giving me an indication he'd like to interject as well. Bill, come on in, brother.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Bill. Well, Grant, if I can just say a couple things. One of the things that I'm with Prepare to Take America Back, and the past couple of weeks we've announced that we're calling for a Million American March on Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July. And I'm very careful to say not patriot. We're saying American because this is not a patriot movement anymore. All of us know, we know liberals, we know Democrats, we know libertarians who are starting to wake up to the fact that we're all in very serious trouble. You're talking about freedom. Freedom is an illusion. We don't have freedom anymore. We can't walk where we want, talk what we want. We can't wear what we want. Our kids can't pray. We can't pray. A Muslim can pray on a mat in our schools, but our kids can't say grace over their disgusting Michelle Obama lunch. We know that marching on D.C. is not the answer. There's not going to be anyone there to remove from office. But what we're hoping is that if we can get a strong enough force, we have the truckers there, we have the bikers there. OAS was a fail, but not because of Harry Reid and his efforts. It was a fail because there were some people out there that hurt the effort that we were all making. So if we can get the bikers and the truckers and the people out there and march on D.C. just to make a presence and just to let our voice be heard, we're hoping that that'll, I don't even know what it'll do. Like I said, we need Congress, the senators, Obama's administration. We need them all arrested and tried. So that's what we're doing. But as far as freedom, it's an illusion. We've already pretty much lost that. And as far as they want the borders open, what good is it, closed, what good is it going to do at this point to close the borders? They're already open. What do we millions of illegals that are already here and protected under the Obama administration?
You take 80 of them, you put them on a bus, you spend $600 for gas.
It's not going to happen, Becky.
Listen, I understand that, but what you're saying is how do we get rid of them? I'll tell you exactly how you get rid of them. You rise up as a nation, understand that war has been declared. They are enemies of the country. They have invaded our country. They've come over here uninvited. I don't care what Obama said or the government.
They were invited.
No, they weren't invited by the people. We've been invaded. It has been a forced invasion upon the people. Our rights and prosperity has been taken away.
I agree with you. It is an invasion.
Hey, listen, people.
Go ahead.
What's happening right now is the same thing that happened in 1770s. Okay?
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of us that are gathering that are the minority, the major minority. And we're just a handful of people. We're the Adams and the Jeffersons and the Hancocks and all that came together that decided that we were going to do something that was unfathomable. The problem is that we're still in the discussion of the problem. We're not in the discussion of the way to fix this problem.
That's what I was saying.
And the way to fix this problem is to address this Million March on Washington and on 4th of July, address it as to the revolution. Give it a bold name, the Second Revolution. And give it a title that instills the American spirit, that drags it, that exists in every American that is here alive in America today. It will reach in there. It exists. I believe it to my core. It will pull it out of the person and say, this is it. We are going to stand behind. We are going to be a part of this.
You're right, and I thank you for that name. That's what we're going to label it. And it's not mine and it's not ours. It's the people's. We're calling out to the people. Get off your asses. We got to stop talking about our constitutional rights and what we've lost and what we're trying to regain. We've lost it. We've got to be proactive now. Enough with the Facebook posts about you got this amendment and that amendment. They're gone. They're being stripped from us. The Constitution that's in force is a fraud. People are walking around abiding by laws and codes that do not trump the Constitution, and they do it every damn day. Who got pulled over by a cop last week? Why did you open your window and why did you give him your DLC? You don't have to, but we do.
No, what most people don't even get is that most of these codes are actually just that. They're tax codes. They're IRS codes. The IRS is a servant of the Federal Reserve. But I mean, we know that, and again, not even all the people who claim to be patriots or claim to be constitutionalists know that.
They're patriot sheep. Because you've got Bill Bohart out there screaming night and day, trying to educate people about the codes and the laws that they don't trump the Constitution. The Constitution, what happens to be a fraud and a forgery because it's not the organic Constitution, and they don't listen to him. They don't listen to you. They're not listening to us right now. So you're doing right, guys.
I have been. Go ahead.
One sec, guys. I've got Bill G that I brought in a while ago, and he hasn't gotten to speak yet. We're running short on time. If you guys would just yield to him, I'd appreciate it for just a minute. Bill, please.
I had to go right on the internet and boom, boom, boom. I type something in, and it would come up.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Bill G.
Yeah, hi.
Go ahead, brother. The floor is yours.
You know, it was brought up early. Go ahead. Get it out. It was brought up early in the conversation, and Bill Bohart had mentioned it. It seems to go past people so easily without it being recognized for what he actually means or what I mean when I say it. But coup d'etat, grand coup d'etat, that's no small thing. We talk about these new agencies. We talk about these laws, these actions, these appointments, these things that are going on. All of those things change dramatically and drastically in what they actually are, what they mean, and how they're regarded when you consider that it's occurring within a coup d'etat. And people need to get right about the fact that we are being taken over, and we are free, although we are cowering under force, but we need to recognize the fact that we are experiencing a coup d'etat, and we have to stand accordingly. Something else is going to happen as far as Rossi was just mentioning people listening to us or not listening to us. We're at a point now where obviously there are going to be educators who remain that will be telling people news. They'll be sharing news. They'll be opening their eyes to the IRS and the Constitution. But there's going to be a number of us that are going to walk away from people waking up and spreading the news and becoming part of strictly a planning and action network and effort, because that's where we are. You talked earlier, and it was killing me. I was biting my tongue. The Clintons gave China that port on the West Coast, or that these islands in Alaska have been given to Russia. There's no person within the administration or our government that can give those things to anyone. On our behalf, they can acquire things, but for no reason at all can they give those things away. And we have to just basically realize that it is now, it is not, we are past the point of like some destiny or fate. We are in a conflict where we have to actually stand to do something about these things because we are in a coup d'etat. We are seeing it. These things that are planned for the Western states, these exercises, we can't just sit back and watch them curiously or with tolerance or expect that we don't have the right to speak up and say something about that, because we absolutely do, and we must. And we better get together and get organized and unified in a hurry, because from the very first truck that rolls out to park in a gathering place, we have to have people there. I'm not saying that we go start shooting as soon as people start exiting vehicles, but we have to be present. Or we have to wave a white flag.
Well, let me ask you a question. You sound solid in your knowledge. It rolls. Do you believe in your soul that there is a group of commanding officers that are putting together something?
Yeah,
I
absolutely do.
In my
I absolutely do.
As ex-military, I have to believe it in my soul that this is being gathered in a covert, background. It's all being taken care of, and this is all in the process. And I also believe that they are waiting on us.
Well, Bill Bullard and I talk about that a lot, what you just said, and I'm glad to hear you say that. I wish more people would recognize that fact and that they are. Some of them have even said that they are, or implied it for sure. There's another indicator, too. If you profile the information, these documents, these readiness plans, of course, they put Texas in red, Utah was in red, and then, you see all these blue states and semi-blue states. But did you notice that the bluest state of them all has that deep crimson red on the very bottom of it? Southern California. Yeah. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Now, I mean, there's some very diehard folks like me in Southern California, but there's another faction that lives within Southern California and has a tendency to stay in Southern California after their retirement. They talk about these plans, and the Navy SEALs are included in these exercises, but the greatest contingency of retired Navy SEALs are within Southern California. That's where they reside. They leave and they stay.
I was stationed there. I was stationed there.
And there's a lot of them. But yeah, I think there's a whole large number of.
What are the odds that this is being used as a guise to put them in position, and then something occurs and they are giving their orders from that so-called training position?
Well, I think there's a good chance of that. I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Do you mean that they're causing something with a foreign element and then going to try to react to it as if they're saving the day?
Right. Yes.
Oh, is that what you mean? The way I look at it is that they may put pajamas on any character or actors to make it look however they want, but their specific sole and only purpose is to basically finish the coup d'etat. They have no choice now. They're up against the wall. Our republic is entirely restored, or they completely take us over.
Hey, Bill, do us a favor.
Yes.
Do us a favor. Don't put no pajamas on while we're on with you, okay?
Yeah. I'm in Southern California. Are you kidding me? A tank top and shorts is almost too much clothes right now.
Yeah, I know where you're at. It's Bobby.
You were talking about where a lot of military retire. I know that is it in Utah or Nevada that has a very large population. I think it's Nevada that has a very large population of retired military. And when I say retired military, I mean brass. Isn't that one of the isn't that one of the states that has a huge Air Force base that has a? Am I correct?
Well, in the West, every state has large Air Force bases. It's just the way it is. And not only do you have many large Air Force bases here, but you have the highest top secret level bases here as well, where they have experimental aircraft. And that's within California, Utah, Nevada, even parts of Arizona, definitely New Mexico. There's a lot of retired brass in Montana, too.
Well, this is concerning with what you brought up about the color. Nevada is lit up in blue. So blue means passive. New Mexico is brown, which means what? Friendly or assessing? What was that? Does anybody...
I think that's unsure. It's undetermined is what I read the report. I don't follow the report as gospel. I look at certain things about the report and consider how do they want us to think. They revealed this report, meaning that they wanted us to see it. So that report is written not in a way that's factual. That report is written in a way that they want us to see it, for us to consider it. And so where it looks likely that they're going to present the greatest defense and come in full force, that's not where it's going to happen. It's going to happen in another area, and they're going to become rooted in an area, which makes what is actually a red area more vulnerable later. It's not going to be so vulnerable if they march in on it. It'll cost them a lot of resources, and they won't gain much ground. But if they come in elsewhere and deep root in other states and disrupt those areas, well, then it kind of weakens the hold on some of these other areas. Because when you see Arizona being light blue, that's not a blue state. Arizona is probably more against and positioned against any federal action than Texas by far.
I agree.
Even their firearms laws, even specifically, if you can carry a gun, you can carry as many as you want. You can carry them out in the open. You can carry them in your underwear. You can carry it in your ass. It doesn't matter. It's your right. And you carry them, and that's the way it is. And as far as the federal laws, they passed, state stuff, which wasn't really necessary. All they had to do is declare, well, hey, this is our state. We're not going to follow that. But just to make it for the record, they passed the laws that they won't recognize these federal laws. So Arizona, it's not a light blue state. It's deep red. It just is.
But maybe they want reaction. Like I said earlier, I think they test the water. And I think that they put this report out listing Southern California and Texas in red as to see what the reaction to the report is. We know Texas is pretty active militia-wise, and you just stated that a lot of retired Navy SEAL live in Southern California. Maybe they want to see some pre-reaction to what is to this operation.
Yeah, I'm sure that those guys are smart enough to know that and not react. Although that would probably, given the way these other people think and the way they false flag and everything that they do in their stories, which are absurd, as they try to cover their every move in their asses, is that they probably would expect to see a reaction from people who are just going to prove to be much smarter than they've been giving us credit all along. We've been insulted for a long time, you guys. We've had a lot of shit rubbed in our face for how stupid we are considered to be. We've proven to be somewhat spineless, and maybe that's where they get their arrogance, but we're not stupid. And,
well, you know what? We know that they don't give a damn, especially, any of the ex-military that, that are some of the people that we're speaking about and stuff. If they really cared and they really wanted to do something about it and they wanted to rise up, they would have done it already. We've already had a couple people look at Operation America Spring. What a flop that was. And then we had one after that. That was a bigger flop. And we even had Colonel Riley and General Berleahy and, all these other people involved in that. It flopped, fell straight on its face. you know, I don't know what it's going to take where we're going to actually have an uprising. You know, I think it's going to take somebody to say, hey, I'm your leader. This is what we're going to do. Let's do it. And people might finally start doing something about it. But who wants to put that mark on their head? You know
I don't
what I mean?
think that's even it. I think you got to be Roddy Piper and They Live. I think you got to take out the TV and the internet, and you got to make the people who are comfortable, even in this level of what should be total uncomfortability, you have to make them uncomfortable. Like you have to shut everything down. You have to make life hard for people, and then they'll get mad enough to go out. But as long as there's TV and there's food and there's internet and the water runs every time I turn the faucet on and all that other stuff, nobody's going to do anything.
Well, we don't really have the luxury of waiting for that to be shut off before we have to start doing things.
Garland. We had it in Garland. We had 3,000 to 4,000 people show up. You know, we had in at the Bundy Ranch, we had thousands of people show up. You know, there are slices of the pie where people have really, really found and resonated with the issue and have shown up. Now, there's a whole lot more. 98% of the time, you know, they don't. They're too busy. They're too occupied. But we have had instances where...
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think the biggest time that we ever seen anybody show up was in Texas. Just recently here in Texas, you know, they actually showed up when they were going to do that, that stand against the Sharia conference and, you know, and all that
I was
stuff.
there.
Texas really showed up, and I give them a lot of props for that day. They sure did show up.
Yeah, Oklahoma did the same thing for themselves just a few months back.
I was there in Oklahoma too at the Capitol, and they laid out rugs. You have to understand Islam. I don't want to get off subject, and I know we're running out of time, but they took the center of the Capitol and removed all the furniture and laid rugs in there, and knelt down. About 100 Muslims and all prayed underneath the dome in the center of the Capitol in Oklahoma. And they did this because their Quran tells them that if they place their foot on a piece of land in the defense of Allah, that they now own that land.
It becomes Islam.
And
see where they put a mosque, it becomes Islam.
Listen, next weekend, December the 27th and 28th, we have a group of true, like-minded, constitutional. We have about 15 speakers. Raging Elephant's going to be there. A lot of great patriots are going to be there. I know the word may not wash well, but we are showing up not in protest of anybody, but in a learning, get together, teach each other, shake each other's hand, grab ideas from one another. We are camping at Lake Georgetown. It is packed. You can't get a camping spot now. The hotel rooms are filling up. I'm expecting somewhere greater than what happened in Garland. I'm expecting people to show up by the thousands at this get-together.
Well, another thing that I would like to ask people to do, wow, I said that almost like I was Ebonic. What I would like to ask people to do is if anybody has a chance to please show up for Casey Massey, and if you guys can go to his court date, that would be awesome. It's going to be in Brownsville, Texas on March 23rd. He can use all the support that he can get. They're going to be doing bus loads from the DFW area by Casey's house. I guess they have some kind of buses and stuff that are going to drive people down there if you people don't have a ride. But, anybody that wants to show support to Casey, please add his Facebook page or, be able to contact him somehow. But he's going to be doing court on March 23rd. So
I'm going.
Absolutely. That's awesome, brother. Awesome. Well, you know what? We're running out of time. I would like to thank every one of you that were kind enough to show up for the show tonight. come on here and share all your information. I mean, it shows like these that, make me feel like we may have some kind of hope, and that things might make it, a turn for the better eventually. But I mean, I know it's false advertising, but we got to do something, okay? We have to do something. But today, I know that we, this has been a very informative show and a good group of people, and I would like to ask everybody that's listening, please share this show with your friends. Get the word out there, and anybody that's not a friend of Rage Against the Regime, try to get them on there. I mean, we try to do roundtable discussions like this all the time. My main thing is, I say it every show, my goal is to learn something, from every show that we do or every show that I listen to, and today I learned a lot from all of you. So I would like to thank you all for coming on. So, I mean, I'm not saying that the show is over with. I'm not saying the show's over with, but I'm probably going to have to duck out here pretty soon because I'm almost home. But I want to thank you all for coming on, and without any of you, we are nothing. So
I feel warm and fuzzy.
Hey, Bobby,
I don't want to know where you feel warm and fuzzy.
I do. Hey, Bobby, Terry Fletcher just sent me a text, and he makes a very valid point. So I'm going to open up the mic for Fletch. Go ahead and share that.
Wow, big time echoes, huh?
Yeah. Do what?
Bobby, mute your... Bobby, mute.
Yes.
Mute, brother. There you go, Nick. We've got an echo.
That echoes.
What happened? I'm lost. What happened?
Mute, Bobby, because I think you're the one that's causing our echo, brother. We got bad feedback. All right.
It seems to be gone now.
I can take a minute just to say, I know we were talking about the failure of the previous marches of the bikers and the truckers and OAS, and Operation American Spring was not a failure because of the efforts of the organizer. Bill and I went. I know a lot of other people went. We were there for 4 days. We made an entire day. I don't know how many hours we drove, but all day there, and we spent our time. And the people that were there, they put their heart and their time and their patriotic effort into it. The police that were there, the cops, they could not be more accommodating. They took care of us in every way possible. When we had a couple hundred of us crossing the street, they held the cars back, even when the light turned green. The people that live there were very accommodating. So we don't have anything negative to say except the patriots and the American people. There were thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of them, talking about it on Facebook. Not one of them, well, not enough of them, got off their asses and went to D.C. Prepare to Take America Back is calling for the Second Revolution, March on D.C., the 4th of July, and we're going to be there. We're asking for the support of all the Facebook pages and all the people out there. This is not a Prepare March. This is an American people march, not a patriot march. It's an American people get off your asses. I don't care if you're a liberal, a Democrat, whatever. And about the previous marches failing, I don't care if Bill and I end up being the only two people standing there. We're going. I'm not going to be one of the people on Facebook that says, oh, my car, and oh, I had to go to a barbecue and watch fireworks. We're going to go.
There will be 3 people there.
Well, thank you. Hi, Doug. Yeah, well, I know you'll be there, and I know there'll be a lot of people there.
Yeah, I think the most important message is unification of American people.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter your petty issues, both sides of the aisle, constitutionalists. We have to unite as Americans. Bottom line, doesn't matter your color, your creed, or your political affiliation.
Amen. Hold hands.
We've got to be there in numbers and unified for one goal. That's to get these usurpers out of office.
Well, you want to know how to get them out of office? I'll tell you how to get them out. And I know we need to go to where they live and where they work.
Wow. Wait.
Whoa.
I
have an echo?
Yeah. Okay. Go
Is
ahead.
it a good echo?
It was terrible,
No,
baby.
Well, I'll tell you what'll shake them up good. 1 million.
No, it was terrible. Whatever it came from, it was terrible.
Still?
No, it's gone.
No, it's gone.
All right.
It's gone.
Well, you were saying what's going to shake them up. Posting on Facebook and doing those government page petitions is absolutely ridiculous. People who are using their real names and their addresses on that government petition site, hello? I mean, they're tracking you enough on Facebook. Do you really think those petitions on a government website are gonna help you? But anyway, if 1 million
Do any of us
people,
still petition?
they still do it. I mean, I get them on Prepare all the time. Please support my petition. No, sorry, not gonna do it. But if 1 million people marched into Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July, I guarantee you mainstream media will have to cover it. There will be coverage. Is it going to remove any of these usurpers from office? No, but it will send a ripple across this country. There, I'm off.
Well, you know what? I want to apologize because I may have been kind of ignorant in what I said about it being a failure. And what I meant by a failure is, I mean, you know, all these people that can sit on the internet, they can type away, you know, they got all the answers and all the resolutions to everything, and they do it on the internet and whatever, but, you know, in chat rooms and everything else. But when it comes time to putting boots on the ground, where are they at? They're nowhere to be found, okay? And what I mean by that is they give the organizers who work their asses off, no doubt about it, they give the organizers, you know, this false sense that they're going to be there. I'm going to be there. You can count on me, blah, blah, blah. And these organizers work very hard to say, okay, we're going to have 50,000 people by the responses that I had 90,000 people tell me they're going to be there. I'll take that, split it in half, and we're going to call it a difference. Okay? Boom. And guess what? 10 people show up or whatever. Yeah, I hate to say it, but it is, you know, it was terrible. But yes, they did work very hard, and you know, you cannot fault the organizers. It's not their fault. They can't go out here and drag people out of their house and, you know, and stand them next to them. So, you know, no fault to the organizers whatsoever.
Well,
no,
in the event that's happening next weekend, the 27th and the 28th, and the first day we're going to be speaking on Islam and Sharia law, and the second day we're going to be speaking on the border and illegals being bussed through Texas. I'm going to tell you right now that you cannot get a camping site. There was over 190 spots, and you cannot get a spot. I'm part of the organization putting it together, and when I grabbed my spot that is already prepaid for, I had to pay for it at the spot, there were 7 left, and this was several weeks ago. So wow. I know that people have already paid for the spots, and I know they're coming. I've spoke with the organization out of Louisiana, the 2 Million Bikers to D.C., and they are coming to this organization. The 2 Million Bikers to D.C. out of Texas are coming. The 3 Percenters are involved in this. They are coming. Like I said, we have 15 high-end speakers that are coming to this event. This is going to be a great pat on the back for people that have been in the fight. If right. You can find it in your time to be there Friday or Saturday, this is going to be a great event.
Hey, Doug.
Well, let's hope the organizers from the opposite side paid a group of people to go out there to protest. Let's pray.
Yeah, because I feel like I need to kick somebody's ass. I'm sorry, Tourette's.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to go, everybody. Thank you all for coming on the show. Please come back and join us. I'm just actually home, and I have family that I have to deal with now, and you know, I'm home at the house, and everybody's sick inside. So time for me to do my due diligence and go in here and try and take care of everybody. So, but
nice to
everybody,
meet you.
Thank you for coming on.
Nice to meet
you. Okay, and thanks for listening, everybody. And that's where I kick off. So Becky, I will talk to you in a couple of days. Bill, I will talk to you and everybody else.
Later, Bobby.
Talk to y'all later. All right, bye-bye.
All right, Terry
Okay,
Fletcher.
Becky, now what do you have to say?
Well, I got Terry Fletcher. He brought up a very valid point. I'm trying to get him not to be shy and go ahead and speak up, brother. Fletch.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
brother.
I think that Stand Up America, I think that getting in touch with Stand Up America now might be a good time because they might want to help support some of these things, including the July 4th. I believe that no matter how many people go to July 4th or any other function, whether it's camping or pulling over at a state building or whatever, is that, we kind of let it slip a little bit, but the whole unification thing that we were going to put more effort into, I think that great unification throughout all of our states and all of our communities, and it will add weight to the numbers that we put in any particular place, especially in Washington. I mean, if they know that they can sweat out a whole bunch of us being there for a couple days, yeah, they'll get a message that there's a lot of us serious, but if we're not a threat to them and we're not organized, they might be willing to write it out.
Organize it. We've got plenty of time to get it organized.
That's what I'm saying. With the unification, it's important. Because
that's why I was so careful to say that we are not calling it Patriots. We're calling it Americans. And you're right. The name of the event is Second Revolution March on D.C., and it is the unification of Americans.
Well, I'm not coming from that same place, though. I understand what you're saying, and as far as getting physical people to show to an event, that's a good thing. But patriots and people who are willing to be armed, community, unified people to actually physically step forward in any circumstance to defend themselves, their family, their neighbors, their nation is a different breed, and we have to speak to that unification. There has to be an actionable occurrence while these other things are happening, and while you don't want to alienate other people, there has to be a group who can give a shit about alienation, whose sole purpose is absolute readiness.
I agree with you.
When we have that, and that's what I'm speaking to, we need to get a little bit more serious about that so that all of these other rightful feel-goods that should be happening more anyway have some weight behind them. They're taken serious, and people are safer in doing so.
People are serious on Facebook, Bill. They won't get off of Facebook. You've got Patriot
That's not serious. That's not serious.
Hold up. Hey, y'all, hold up just a second. Seriousness is one thing, but let me tell you, I came into this and have not been able to, I'm a snowball rolling down a hill. I have not been able to stop this from one instance that happened. I drove underneath an overpass, and a guy was holding a flag standing on an overpass by himself.
Yeah.
If we bring people together in events like this, then these people gather knowledge, and they become me, or they become you, and they go home, and they take heed, and they start to listen, and they start paying attention. I understand where you're at. I was there 6 months ago where, screw this, I'm protecting myself and my family. And I'm looking for...
Well, are you talking with me where I'm at?
Yeah, I'm not saying you're saying screw this. I'm just saying that...
No. It's not just me and my family. I'm talking about being serious about being completely and fully organized so that we take responsibility for our own defense and security.
Yeah, but those are done in private. Those organizations are like the organization I belong to, which is the Texas Outlaw Militia, and those are done behind the scenes where you're preparing for. And
that's right.
They don't do it on Facebook.
What we're looking to do is we're looking to get a unification process underway with people who are looking to be serious and actionable. From that process, people will, and that's why I said earlier, an hour ago, that some of us, while there will be the educators who will remain to keep people waking up and, enlighten them to the IRS and all these things, that many of us will be stepping away because that unification process is going to get an action network that will be stepping out of this other fray and be prepared.
And a great place to start with that is community preparedness teams.
I was just going to say.
Start your own community and get preparedness teams together, 25, 30. A friend 100 miles away or a patriot 100 miles away is not going to help you when the feds show up. You have to have people in your neighborhood ready to stand ready to stand.
Well,
stand with you and for you and protect each other.
Those are community unification groups that we need to set up.
And I absolutely believe, and Bill and I have talked about this, that they'll bring to national readiness teams.
That's right.
Well, Bill, we have Prepare to Take America Back has probably 45 well-established state pages. They've been established. We set those up 3 years ago.
Yes.
I'll give you, and Tricia Ann. Okay, who's poo-pooing it? The only way that you're going to get people to meet offline is to go into these groups and say, hey, let's get a meeting set up at such and such a park. Okay, so poo-poo it. Meanwhile, I've got 45 state pages set up that have been set up for 3 years, and some of them have as many as 1,000 people in it that are living in the same city saying, someone organize us. But okay, we'll poo-poo it.
Okay, listen. If let's take the other side of this. If it did not exist, if the gatherings and the meetings did not exist whatsoever, zero meetings, zero Facebook, did not exist, how would these people? How would I have known Roxy? How would I have known you, Bill?
That's exactly
How would I have
right.
known? These have a place in this battle. Okay, this battle, the greatest fear of this battle is not the guy that has 100,000 rounds of ammunition and 20 buddies. Okay, the greatest battle of this New World movement is 380 million Americans. That is the greatest battle.
That's the number I usually use. The thing I spoke of earlier about this thing hidden deep down inside the gut of every American, I don't believe it exists in a Chinese person or maybe a Russian person or a Pakistani. They will cower at the opportunity. I don't think that cowardness is there for an American. I think an American understands and has lived freedom and understands what it is. And that freedom is what is buried deep inside of every person that gets up and goes to work, that's ignoring what we are talking about right now. But it is still there. And I
agree with you.
I think that Facebook, I think that Twitter, I think all of this has a place in this battle in awakening and dragging this hidden little patriotism that is buried deep inside of every American. I think it has the ability to pull this out. And
I've said this before that, I'm sorry to interrupt, Doug.
No, you
well,
speak better than I do.
Everybody knows that the feds and everybody, NSA, whoever, is monitoring us on Facebook. And I've been saying this for years. Facebook has contributed to and given birth to the Patriot movement and facilitated us organizing more than any other tool we could have used. I would not have met my Bill. I would not have met you, Bill. I would not have met Doug or Becky or anyone else. And I will probably never stand in the same room with any of you, but I know at this very moment, if one of us needed help and posted on Facebook, SOS, any one of us would be at his side by getting a network of friends to him. By my offering the Prepare State pages, no, it's not secure. There's moles and trolls all over Facebook. But to go into any one of these 40 pages and say, hey, who wants to be in charge of organizing and facilitating a meeting on Facebook and get, there he goes again. Okay, so I know for a fact that if I go in my state pages and say, let's get all patriots together for a summer picnic, how many of you will get together and talk about organizing and prepping off of Facebook where you're being monitored? I guarantee you I've had at least 50 people from each one of my state pages.
I've actually had two meetings similar to what you're talking about, and you know, although some of it led to some pretty let me just say this: it let me discover who's serious and who's not. At face value, no, I didn't know they were the whack jobs they were. But you know what? It started emotion. It started something in motion. I made some great contacts in 5 or 6 different states that I stay in contact with these guys and ladies. So I mean, you know, and this all stemmed from Facebook stuff. From getting together with people and saying, okay, let's go here and meet and talk and see what we got going on.
You're going to meet kooks, but you know what? 20 people show up at a meeting. 5 of them are kooks. The 15 say, you know, you need to go. You need to take your little paintball guns, and you need to go.
Well, in one of the situations, they took themselves out. So.
Well, there you go. And then so you end up with 15. Let's say the 15 don't agree on everything. You lose 5 more. You end up with 10 people standing there who say, what do we do? In the case of an emergency, and I talk about this in my state pages as well, this isn't all about arming and that. Let's talk about prepping. Okay, you got a family of 5. Do you have water? Do you have food? Okay, in case of a natural disaster, an earthquake, tornado, let's all exchange numbers, blah, blah, blah. These are the things that my state pages are doing. It's not all just about arming and you know, the fact that we're losing our rights and that. These are people in communities who are meeting, who share like-minded ideas, and we are responsible for helping them meet each other.
And like you spoke of, a perfect example is me and you, Roxy. When Mike posted his video, me and Roxy got together privately, and we sent a drive-by on Mike's house by 3%ers to make sure he was okay, all through the back channels, all covert, to make sure, because Mike had so many threats, his job, his family, everything from his video, that Mike disappeared for 2 weeks. Well, I became worried. I knew Mike's address. I knew Mike's phone number, so me and Roxy, with Roxy's help, got the 3%ers to do a drive-by and make sure that Mike was okay.
I did an SOS, and within 15 minutes or less, I had people in his city telling me that they were in their car ready to go. Militia people, regular mom and pops. I had probably 100 people saying, tell me where his house is. I won't disrupt it. Let me do a drive-by. That's the power of our voice on the Internet. That's what it is when you unite. We can't talk on the Internet. We need to meet off the Internet. And that's what you're doing, Doug. And I sent you a note, and I asked you, please give me all the information. I'm going to plaster it in all my groups on Prepare, on American White, and I'm going to send you some flyers to hand out about people going to the march on the 4th of July.
There you go. That's what I need.
I mean, you got to start. You got to start. A drop of water in the ocean is nothing but a drop of water. But it builds up momentum.
When you were talking about you were out of those 20 people, you were down to 15 and then down to, I don't care if you get one person, that one person might have been me. And if I am that one person and then I am able to go and find one more person, then that's two.
Yeah, it is about networking both on and off. Social networking is a great tool to get something initiated. But once you get that initial contact, I think more serious effort needs to be put into actual meeting, which is difficult, given everybody's in a financial bind. At least once a month we have the money to go, but then and everybody's situation is different. But
I spent 2 hours last night in a meeting and met 9 people that I have never met before in my life. And I spent 2 hours talking about exactly what we have talked about tonight.
Yep.
And those 9 people are literally, out of the 9 people, one person is fired up about going after new laws and addressing new laws and So I don't, there's still that person that thinks this can be fixed through the legislative action,
Right.
But
that's because they haven't experienced a true awakening just yet.
Right. The other 8 out of the 9 are like, holy shit, let's do something. And
right. I do it in the grocery store checkout lane, and I do it at the laundromat. I do it everywhere I go. I try to strike up a conversation. If I can get 4 or 5 people to listen to me for 5 minutes, I go for it. And half of them walk away going, man, this is that whack job. But that's okay. That's okay. The other half heard my message.
Yeah. I hear you. I understand what you're saying about that this needs to be, groups going together, and I'm a man of the Bible, and I refer to it regularly, and I read into the scripture that this is going to take small militia groups are going to do this, that are going to fight this big battle. It is not going to be large groups. It is not going to be large groups.
And Doug, let me run this past you. Something we have to understand that in either the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, organic and the fraudulent reprint, God is not mentioned one time, but our Creator is. And what I have found, and I've been at this a long time, is some people get turned off when you start to preach about God for whatever reason.
I know.
When I say your Creator, and when I emphasize whatever you think that is, whatever it is to you, your Creator endowed you with these rights.
Your higher power.
And right. And I seem to get a lot more people interested in, what I've found out, and man, I hate it because, I'm a God-fearing American man, but it seems to turn people off right away. And so I'm trying to be really careful with that, although I'm not afraid to admit that God is my Creator and Jesus Christ is my Savior. I try to keep it out of my patriot talk because I don't want to turn people off right away. That's just one more person that I can include.
But it is a part of who I am, and I can't,
absolutely.
It comes out in me, and most of the time I refrain it. I hold it back. And, I would love to turn every conversation into trust and love. And trust and love is what I base my whole everything on. It's who I am. Right. And, but you're right. You lose people so fast because they have been taught that the right-wing idiots out there are just religious zealots that are just...
All right. Here's where I'm going to interject, and I'm going to go ahead and give everybody a spanking. I feel like God's ready to do that through me. I will not deny my Father in heaven, whether it offends someone or not. If you are offended, walk away from me. My job is to plant the word and the seed. It is not my job to cultivate it nor worry about your individual right to be offended by the presence of God's word being spoken or even his name.
Well, absolutely. So what I'm talking about is to reach people in unification to save this country.
You know what?
Church. I go to church on a Sunday for my preaching. If I'm standing in a grocery store aisle, I'm not their pastor. It's not my responsibility. They can make that choice for themselves. But it is my responsibility to save my country.
Absolutely.
I signed on for that a long time ago.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. But if the word or the mention of my Creator, my Father God, is offensive to them because I believe in Him, get on down the road, buddy. You're not in the same arena with me, and I don't care if you're offended.
But see, you shouldn't get offended about that. It's because of the evangelists and the people that have been. I mean, oh my God, some of these organizations, Becky, you have to admit, get a little eccentric with it. And people get turned off by that. And so that's why I try to steer my conversation to their Creator. I don't care what their Creator is.
Right.
Well, I try to define myself as God, country, and family in that order. And I've been in arguments where people will go, forget that, my family's on top of everything. I see me as God, country, and family. I love my family, but they don't. My family doesn't exist without my country, and my country does not exist, and I do not exist without my Lord and Savior having 3 spikes drove through him.
That's right.
Tell it.
That's exactly
All right,
right.
you guys, that's a great spot for me to call this show. It's going to cut me off. I've only got 30 minutes overage and more about at that point, and I hate to end a show in the middle of a sentence. So I want to say this was a great conversation, a huge impartation of knowledge. Grant and I just met. Grant, I would invite you back to be on my show anytime, and I'd love for you to co-host the show with me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bill, and Roxy, you guys know where you sit in my heart. You're my family, and I love you, and thank you for everything that you do and for the things that you bring to the table. And, Roxy, thank you for introducing me to Doug McDougall. Mike has agreed to be on the show. We're kind of working with his schedule. He's been a little bit busy, but I'm going to bring a show together next week, hopefully, where we will have Doug back on and we will have Mike on the show as well. And we're going to cover some more of these issues. Listen, for the listeners out there, the border is wide open. Because media has been silent does not mean anything. Do not listen to the lies. I'm telling you the absolute truth. And if you don't want to believe me, get in your car, drive down to the border, and check out what goes on across that border every day. Go prove it to yourself. But don't just keep sitting there and allowing these things to happen. And I propose one thing, Doug. You're very strong in the movement, as I am, with Liberty Alliance, Texas Freedom, all of the Secede Texas organizations coming together right here in Texas to stop the madness. I propose that we stop requesting the secession and that we absolutely demand it. I also propose this. For those of you who want to continue to bitch and piss and moan about your Second Amendment being taken away from you, blah, 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 blah. Understand why that Second Amendment was put in there, and then ask yourself a question when you look yourself in the mirror. Why the hell haven't you done anything to utilize the very thing that you claim is being taken from you when you have no intention to do anything but hold on to it in your house?
Absolutely.
Amen.
All right. This is Becky Williams. I've been your host today with Rage Against the Regime. Doug has been my special guest today. Grant was also a special guest. And as usual, the panel, Bill, and Roxy, God bless you for the organization that you are creating to the preparedness situation in your own neighborhoods. I have a training island called VOSS, military-grade training facility that will train up any individual listening on the show today. We have a facility that will train you to be proficient in many areas to become a first responder in preparedness for not only your neighborhoods but for your family and the nation. So, with that said, check out VOSS. We're big. We've just launched. Check out Take America Back page. Bill
Prepare to
G
Take America Back.
I'm sorry. Prepare to Take America Back. I apologize. Watch this 3 months. I'll be back on tomorrow at 3 p.m. I've got the National Director for Vocal, who is fighting diligently and has been for 11 years against corruption in the CPS system, the kidnapping and child trafficking, the pedophilia, the porno industry, and many other things that are involved in the CPS actions against Americans. So I will have her and a couple of parents who have experienced that injustice themselves on the show tomorrow at 3 p.m. And then, of course, we will have an open mic moment where folks like you guys can call in and tell us what you think. God bless you. God bless America. Keep safe. And until tomorrow at 2 p.m., this is Becky Williams, Truth Singing. Peace out.